Hi everyone, welcome back to the garden, where after a cloudy, chilly start, it's shaped up to be a beautiful early spring afternoon. The trees are full of birds singing away, the garden is full of excitement, and the sun is producing that gorgeous soft glow that this time of year really brings home for the first time. In today's video, I want to talk about a plant which simply looks spectacular in spring. A group of plants which are varied, extremely adaptable, perfect for those tricky spots in our garden and our changing climate as we go forward. A plant which brings so much to my garden, yet I haven't really spoken about much. Okay, there's no point building it up, you're probably guessing the title. Today's video is all about Euphorbias, a fantastic, a beautiful, exotic looking group of plants which we can grow very easily in our UK gardens. I want to give an overview with the Euphorbias I grow here in my exotic style garden, how I work them into the various arid, Mediterranean and jungle style areas, and the Euphorbias I'd recommend for your UK garden. In this video, I want to go through the range, starting from the smallest and working up to the biggest ones I'd grow. There's definitely a Euphorbia for every garden, so let's get started and have a look at them now. Starting off then with the more compact varieties, I've come to the sunny end of my garden, my fire pit project, where, as you can see behind me, it's a glorious mixture of arid plants, palms, and there's definitely a lot of weeds. Some people say that even by filming this video, I'm putting off doing the weeding till another day, and those people might be right. But the first plant looks spectacular, even if there's a few nettles and dandelions around it. It's Euphorbia myrsinites, an absolutely beautiful little euphorbia. This one prefers sun, and here I've got it in a well-drained mix. There's plenty of grit and sharp sand added to the soil, and it grows perfectly well. And as you can see, it's a great performer now. Late March into early April, it starts doing its thing. It really is a beautiful little euphorbia. And even after those bracts have faded away, just having those blue, cool leaves, I think they really add something to this part of the garden. It's especially handy if you grow a lot of arid plants, a lot of Mediterranean plants, and you're looking for filler plants for your garden. This one would definitely be a great choice for that. Quite simply, it's a plant that's got stunning colours. It's a plant that's got seasonal interest, particularly at this tricky time of the year. And I did mention a few videos ago, I really want to fill those seasonal gaps in my garden, and Euphorbias are a great way, a great prelude to the real tropical season to come. It's got beautiful form to it and a very handy height, because it's very easy to fill your garden with huge, great big spiky monstrosities and forget about the low level interest. So this Euphorbia is absolutely recommended. It might thrive in partial shade, but personally, I think it's absolutely grown best. Full sun, great drainage, and obviously the plus point to that is it can survive very well without a lot of summer watering. And when it comes to shade, Euphorbia Robbiae, this one is one of my favourites. Again, Rem is showing off the scale of it there. This Euphorbia is really great for those tricky spots. Not only can it handle shade, but it can also grow well, thrive even in dry shade. As you can see, the leaves are slightly darker on this one, but I think that really makes these gorgeous flowers, the bracts there, absolutely pop against them. It's a stunning mix of colours, perfectly complementing ferns and so many other plants I grow in the shady parts of my garden. Now, whether this is a good thing or not is entirely up to you and your gardening preferences, but this is a Euphorbia that definitely likes to spread. As you can see here, in just a few years, this plant it's bulked up quite significantly, and it's now providing a great ground cover around this bamboo. Personally, I love it, but it's one to just be a bit aware of. If you're going to plant it somewhere where you can't regularly maintain it, or you've got very strict boundaries to your garden, then this probably isn't the best choice. It definitely spreads by the root. But if you've got a tricky spot and you simply want a quick growing ground cover to rapidly fill that spot and provide some extra seasonal interest in spring, you won't go far wrong with this one. A small Euphorbia, yes, but high impact, and the potential to really colonise an area and provide a beautiful, cohesive green glory to your garden. And when it comes to the medium-sized Euphorbias, or medium to large potentially, shall we say, this one is one of my absolute favourites here in my garden. I believe this one is Silver Swan. A few years ago, I went for a phase of buying quite a lot of Euphorbias. A lot of the medium-sized, brightly coloured ones, the oranges and the reds, they simply aren't in my garden anymore, which probably tells you the story. Those have been taken out by some of the cold winters that we've had. But this Euphorbia, which I believe is called Silver Swan, has persisted, and I'm pleased that it has. This Euphorbia is a proper beauty. I love the colouring of it. Again, you've got that really cool bluey greens for leaves, and on this, they're actually rimmed with a beautiful creamy silver colour. Absolutely fantastic. Here it pairs well with the eucalyptus above me, the yucca rostratas, even the fritillarias this time of year. It really is just a stunning plant. And whether it's classed as an exotic or simply a beautiful plant, which a lot of you will have seen at garden centres before, it doesn't matter. This plant fits in perfectly well. Again, it's a plant which really enjoys a full sunspot. And here, despite the eucalyptus above it taking a little bit of that sun away, it's performing fantastically well. The sun, when it's rising up there behind where you are now in the camera, it really gives this a proper beating. This plant doesn't get watering in summer, it gets full sun for most of the day, and it really is thriving. So again, a Euphorbia, very handy for those dry gardens, very handy for full sun gardens. This is a very low maintenance plant, but one that is very high in beauty. I love it here. And personally, when it comes to medium euphorbias, this one would have to be my choice. But generally in my videos, I only like to talk about plants which I've grown here, I've got personal experience of, I've got the bitter tales and fantastic successes to share with you. But if you've grown any medium-sized euphorbias that you would heartily recommend, please leave your recommendations in the comment section below. But this one really is an absolute stunner and one that I'd highly recommend, even if I'm not entirely sure of its name. For the next Euphorbia recommendation, again, firmly in the medium to large category, possibly closer to the larger size, this one is Euphorbia Wulfenii, probably one of the most famous and beautiful euphorbias you can grow here in the UK. This one is only a baby, planted out last spring, so as you can see, it's only just about bulking up, but already it's shown real promise. This one is slightly, we'll say, darker green, but still a beautiful plant. But those flowers, I mean, just look again. It's that real acidic, proper vibrant colour that almost seems artificial, but definitely no less beautiful for it. They're really genuinely stunning plants. And here, I really like using euphorbias in my garden to help break up the different forms. You see, with the small euphorbias like the myrsinites that have dotted around the arid plants, they provide something a little bit different, a nice contrast to the real tall, upright, spiky plants. Again, that silver swan there, it fits in amongst a lot of, say, grass type plants, a lot of real spiky, upright forms. This plant here gives a nice visual contrast between the bamboo and the palms they've got beyond it. And again, all the weeds, but we won't mention those again. So really, I think this Euphorbia is highly recommended. I've seen one in some villages not far from here where, honestly, I know I overuse words absolutely stunning, but this plant ticks both of those boxes very firmly. A few of these growing up alongside a fence, they can get to about a metre and a half tall. They look jaw-dropping. There may only be a month when they're really performing at their absolute best, but it's absolutely worth it, just to use the word again. This plant is a gem which belongs in your garden. If you want a simply majestic plant, which looks spectacular in spring, but provides valuable evergreen interest throughout the rest of the year, this plant has got to be high in the list. Again, it prefers more sun, but they are quite adaptable. That's the thing with euphorbias. They're very tough, and as long as you get them settled in quite well, water them maybe the first year, these plants just simply get on and do their thing. So it's not necessarily a case of needing to have a full sun garden or needing to have very sandy soil. My soil here is pretty neutral, somewhere in the middle, but it's very handy to have plants like this which simply get on and do the thing. A lot of my exotic look here is made up of plants which simply get on. In the background, they do the thing, but at this time of the year, when they decide it's their time to shine, don't they do it so beautifully well? This Euphorbia, if you've got the space for it, you can't get much better. When I say you can't do much better than this, well, there is a plant which tops it. Yes, the Euphorbia crown in my garden is very much taken by the bold, the majestic, the beautiful Euphorbia John Phillips. This plant has it all. Easy, vigorous, tough, reliable, stunning. It really is a plant which performs all the way through the year. Admittedly, it's not looking its best right now, which is the only reason why it didn't make my top 5 hardy exotics to start your garden with. My example is looking a little past its best. The reason for that is partly maybe the cold start to winter that we had. We were plunged straight into those ice days, a very cold start to November here, but also potentially because I cut it back a little late last year. And because I chopped it back late, it was then attempting to regrow again, which is maybe why the winter affected it more. But usually this plant, it just sails through winters. Ice days, hard frost, snowfall, not a problem at all for this Euphorbia. You can certainly see it react to the cold. The leaves start to shrivel up a bit. They turn the most glorious crimson colours, but then it bounces back, not a problem at all. This plant has the most glorious, almost pearlescent, tough and beautiful evergreen foliage. Even if it didn't flower, it would definitely deserve a spot here in my garden, and definitely yours as well. But a couple things you need to be aware of. Firstly, this Euphorbia is very vigorous. From a rooted cutting, this plant got to a dome probably pushing 2 meters across in around 3 years. It doesn't hang around, and it will continue growing until it's a dome 3 meters across. That's 3 meters across and 3 meters high. I don't know why I'm doing this with my hands because it's bigger than I can reach. This plant truly wants to outgrow its space. And here in my garden, where I haven't quite got enough space for it, it might need continual pruning to keep it in measure. And you might have seen in my good friend Mark Goodlad's garden, Mark's Crazy Tiki garden, I'll put a link to his videos in the description below. He had to take one of these out to make room for another tropical bed, but he's still got a garden full of these Euphorbias, and they truly look amazing all the way through the year. This Euphorbia genuinely does have it all, but when it comes to the crowning moment for this plant to really show off, this one really does its thing later in spring. We're talking around May time here, if I remember correctly. The flowers have the most beautiful scent. The honey scent from this, really, I can just smell it now talking about it. It's sensational. It attracts the pollinators, a beautiful scent for a good few weeks, and then the seed pods, when they do form a few weeks later, you can hear them on a sunny day, which will eventually come complete with heat as well, I've been told. That sun, it just makes them pop, and you can hear them flying off around the garden. They just crack and send the seeds everywhere. It really is a plant which, for me, it brings interest to a good chunk of the year. And even when it's not really its time to form, it looks stunning. And this is a plant, remember, that's competing with one of the most fantastic foliage trees you can grow here, Pinus patula, my favourite cold hardy palm, Robbiae chilensis. Even amongst these beautiful and varied exotics, this plant completely deserves its space, even if it's getting a little bit too big for its boots. So if you want a Euphorbia in your garden and you've really got the space for something special, if you want something that forms a bush type shape but performs more than your standard garden centre fare, this one is well worth hunting down. And don't worry if you have to start small, buying it in a 2 litre pot. Plant it out around May time, somewhere around there, probably even April if you live in a milder part of the UK, and then it's got a full season to settle in, start developing, and you will absolutely not regret it. Unless you're quite limited on space, in which case it probably isn't the best choice. But seriously, this plant here is already bouncing back. As you can see, those rosettes now, they're already starting to grow those lime green leaves. This one, you won't go wrong if you choose it. I have also experimented with some other large Euphorbias over the years, 2 of which are Euphorbia mellifera, which again, very beautiful honey scent to the flowers. They're a slightly different colour to John Phillips, but again, a very big plant, a dome that wants to be 3 meters plus tall and round, a stunning, vigorous Euphorbia, but one which I've personally found to be not quite as tough as John Phillips, which is why, for me, John Phillips takes the crown. But there is another Euphorbia tucked in there, another big one, which unfortunately has taken quite a bit of damage this winter. Here we have Euphorbia Frampton Fatty, which is a beautiful hybrid Euphorbia produced by Nick Mesa of Pan Global Plants. If you want to see an hour-long tour, me walk around the Pan Global Plants garden with Nick, talking about some of the stunning hybrids, amazing new introductions, and simply beautiful exotics which he grows and sells there, definitely I'll put a link to that video in the description below. It's one of my favourites. But coming back to this Euphorbia, has it been hit hard because of how bad our winter was here? We're not in the mildest area here, so plants really are tested. Or is it simply wrong plant, wrong place? Here in my shady jungle garden, potentially not the best spot for this Euphorbia. I've seen mellifera, I believe, growing in quite shady spots down at RHS Wisley, but again, that's quite a distance away, and maybe on average you have a slightly milder climate. Who knows? But either way, this plant, it's not killed off, and I'll certainly be giving it another chance to grow up again. A little bit of pruning will come later in spring, and that's probably the only thing you need to be wary of with Euphorbias. Yes, you need to chop off the old dead flowers and any growth which is disappearing off in a direction you don't want it to. But be careful, make sure you wear gloves, because of sap, otherwise it potentially can burn you. But other than that, Euphorbias are such an easy plant to grow. For me here in my garden, they're simply an exotic plant staple, something which just gets on with it, but looks spectacular, and when it does flower, the whole garden is just overtaken with the beauty and often scent. A plant which completely deserves to belong in my garden. And I haven't simply shown you them today because they're looking the best this month. I've also shown you them because they're looking great in garden centres right now. And if you wanted to go out and buy a semi-impulse plant, a Euphorbia is a great choice. You can say that George said it's okay to go out and buy one, get it in your garden, because I think really, whether you're looking for a specimen plant, a filler plant, or simply just a really tough and beautiful evergreen to complement your existing plants or colour scheme, Euphorbias really tick all the boxes for me here. They're a plant which deserves more than one spot here in my garden, and if I had to plant the whole garden again, they would certainly feature, potentially even more. So I hope you've appreciated today's video. If you've got any other Euphorbia recommendations, feel free to leave in the comment section below. There's a whole world of Euphorbias that I haven't even got into in this video, and I've even seen some really exciting hybrids that are just about to be released, so stay tuned for those. So thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. See you later.